Slip this sweater off. Let's start.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Savvy Women of Social Media. I am your host, Michelle Arbori. Never thought I would say host, but I am. So this month, we're doing a series on how COVID-19 has affected us personally, professionally. I think it's such an important topic now. We've been going through this for 6, 7 months now. I don't even know anymore. So I thought it was important to get different women's perspectives on how it affected them. So today we're talking to Julia, and she owns her own photography business. So I'm going to have her introduce herself, where she's from, and more about her business, and then we will get into how COVID has affected her. So welcome, Julia.
Thank you for having me. I am Julia Mae Hunt of Julia Mae Photography. And I am in Des Moines, Iowa. And I specialize in branding and personal branding, social media photography. And I'm also a trained life coach as well. So
Told you we'd get interrupted.
I need your help.
Did I have impact or
Hi.
what?
I need your help, Mommy.
Oh my goodness, but I can't.
No, I need it because I can't hear anybody.
Oh, that's important to hear the teacher. I thought you were done at 11, honey.
Well, we're still working.
Okay.
Because he's showing us to do Flipgrid and all that.
I don't know. All right, go get your Chromebook. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Let's see. I think that's the main information about me and my business. And I'm here at home with my husband and our cat, Tommy. And I have the door closed, so hopefully neither one of them will come in, but they might.
Unless they can get the knob, right? Mm-hmm. Like my child.
Can get the knob, might let the one that can't get it in. So you just never know what's going to happen.
All right. So hi. So how? Oh, I think you lost your connection, bud. That's why.
So you think I need to be in here?
No.
So I need to be somewhere on the internet?
You are, though. I'm sorry, guys. This is what homeschooling is all about right now. He went back to school yesterday and doing remote learning. So I think we need to shut everything off and
restart
and see what happens.
But won't they know I'm gone? They want me to be there.
Well, we will just tell him you're having a connection issue, which is true. Let's see if you could get back on.
This is the worst day.
Oh, you poor thing.
Mm-hmm. Are you muted?
No, I'm not muted. They can hear everything we're saying.
I can hear you. I can see you.
So maybe when they come back on.
All right, go on. Go back to the table.
Bye.
And then I will teach you. There's nothing this afternoon. I will see you tomorrow.
Oh, they ended. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
What to do?
Well, all right. Just go and watch TV for now. Okay. All right. So sorry about that, everyone. We started homeschool or remote learning yesterday, and today he was having some connection issues. So this is how COVID's affected me. All right, go on TV now. I'll be out when I'm done. So I'll be done at noon, around noon. So
Mommy, go on. So am I done for now?
For now, yes. Go watch TV until I'm done, okay?
Watch TV. No, wait. Is it lunchtime?
Until 12:45. Go.
Oh, gotta go.
Bye. Okay, so again, that's how COVID has affected me. Oh my gosh.
Wait, when's Independence?
12:45.
All right.
Okay.
So I still have some time for lunch.
Okay. So how has COVID affected you? Let's start personally. How has it affected you? How long have you been doing your business? Now that I have my thoughts gathered again, how long have you been doing your business, and what's your background?
So I started my business back in 2016, but it's been full time. It's been almost right at 2 years now that I quit my job. Of course, even when I quit my job, they asked me to stay part time for a little while, and it kind of dragged on through till October. But that was all ended up being a good thing, which I might touch on as part of my COVID answer. But my background is I have a degree in commercial photography from the Art Institute of Colorado. I also have an agriculture education degree from Iowa State University. And and I was a photojournalist for about 6 years. And then I started waiting tables while I was going to art school, and that led to a career in restaurant management, which I love restaurants too. So it was kind of a time to get paid to learn which direction I wanted to go in. um, honestly, I am so glad I feel like I went to the school of hard knocks to give me a nice, tough skin to be able to run my business by being a restaurant manager.
Mm-hmm. So how has COVID affected you personally, if it has?
Well, personally, in a lot of ways, I feel like my life events leading up to COVID sort of prepared me for it. I'm not going to say that my life is perfect or has been perfect, but I had been doing a lot of personal work to help get over a personal tragedy, and was finally feeling stronger. And I had, quit my job and started my business. And, so, I mean, even down to the point of my husband and I had accidentally bought too much toilet paper weeks before. So we actually had 3 cases of toilet paper, and it was funny because I was kind of mad about it because I'm like, oh, what are we gonna do with all this toilet paper? So there's lots of little weird things like that. And even what I was planning on doing for those first few weeks of COVID, I had been really busy with my business doing photo shoots, and so I was planning on those first few weeks being editing time, and then I needed to work on my own marketing. So I was going to try to find a class to take, and that was no problem.
Yeah.
Once COVID hit.
No, I cannot. So did it affect you? Because I've said in other interviews, it definitely affected me emotionally and stuff like that. Did it affect you emotionally? Did it make you down and depressed and just trying to get used to everything? How did you handle your emotions? Because this was something that obviously none of us planned. It
No.
was just thrown at us. And it was a lot to handle, especially with somebody who has a child and being thrown into remote learning right away and stuff like that. So how did you handle it, you and your husband, personally and emotionally?
Well, it definitely freaked me out a little bit, especially the way people were going after the grocery stores, and it just kind of felt a little threatening to me. And so I felt basically it just helped having people online to connect to. And it was almost like just kind of wading through those first couple of weeks. I just started feeling more and more comfortable with it. And, I actually really enjoyed having my husband home because, when I had office time, if I wasn't out networking or on photo shoots, then I was just home alone. And that had gotten a little old. So it was nice to have him home. So I actually felt, a little better and more supported, being able to have him home.
What does he do?
He's an architect, and he works for the Department of Transportation for the state of Iowa.
Okay.
So he's, definitely had job security through all this. And I guess that's my main answer. And I just tried to stay connected, kind of stay, understand what was happening. Um, and then try to figure out how to um, stay positive. I wasn't always successful with that. That's for sure. There were definitely some down days there in the beginning, and just kind of wondering what was going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. It was hard. And, I was complaining beforehand, like yourself, I need more time with my family, my husband, we need more time. And my husband was home for 3 months and I couldn't wait for him to go back to work because he's in the restaurant business. So they closed down until June, I think it was. And so now he's back and, I miss having him at home on certain days. Like today, he could have, controlled our son. But no, I definitely miss having him home. And it was nice having that extra time together and get that family time. Um, how did it affect you professionally now? Because you started your business in 2016, you have to be in front of people. You have to go out and network, like you said, like I do. So how did it affect you professionally, and what did you have to do to pivot to make it work for you?
Well, of course, at first it just completely shut everything down. And then someone sent me some porch portraits that had been done by another photographer. And I thought, that looks like fun. Um, I can go out and do a few of these just for fun. Anybody that feels comfortable, because I can definitely be way past social distance and do those. So I did one round for free, just to get out of the house and feel like I'm doing something. And then someone saw those and said, "Hey, I actually am I'm raising money for Lymphoma and Leukemia Society, and all of my charity events have been shut down. Would you like to partner with me to do porch portraits?" So I did that event, and we ended up raising like $700.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I did a lot of portraits for that, and then I did a few just individual ones. I went to some businesses and did curbside. It's the same thing. I just called them something different. Portraits for businesses. It really, really reduced prices. I just cared about covering my gas, just to kind of get me out a little bit, and just help people kind of connect. And that ended up doing a lot of positive things. Like, people said they really enjoyed seeing my nice pictures and positive feeling on my social media, because there was so much fear and so much negativity. And it was just nice to see, a loving family, or, whatever I ended up taking pictures of. So then I just did a lot of learning. Like I said, I was kind of wanting to work on my own marketing anyway. So I've just been soaking up as much educational opportunities as I could. And then all the networking soon started being online. And I actually felt like I got to connect with people that I had never met before, even though it was the same networking groups. So all I cared about was just, having some company, and it was having that routine of online networking groups really pulled me out of some days where maybe I wasn't being successful with being positive. And I did lots of little things. I started an Etsy store with some stock photography. And I taught a few classes. I'm actually, like I said, I am also a trained life coach. So I did some different, goal setting and entrepreneurial balance classes. And, next thing I knew, I actually had a fairly busy routine. And then all of that connection has translated to now. So before COVID, when I would talk about my social media photography, people would buy small packages or they would get headshots and so I was getting work, but I had never actually sold any of my big annual subscription packages other than I had done some for practice. And now I'm selling those. People are understanding that you need to connect with your clients online. And how you can't do that with stock photography. You can't necessarily do it with just taking selfies of yourself. And so actually all of this is, rolled into, and I have no idea if I'd be in the same position if COVID hadn't happened, but there's definitely a lot of people recognizing and feeling more comfortable with online marketing and connecting with people online.
That's awesome. So how are you marketing yourself online? Because again, it used to be, yeah, we needed to market online, but it was a lot of face-to-face, interaction. So how are you marketing yourself online? What are you doing differently that is bringing the customers in now?
I actually don't feel like I'm doing that much different. It's just what I was doing is working now. Other than my face-to-face networking groups are online, so we do Zoom meetings like this, and get to connect there. And that's really the only change. And I would say I'm doing a better job of being consistent with my social media, even though I haven't posted, I don't think, for the last couple of weeks. I do still have in my routine that I'm interacting on social media, whereas I used to just kind of do a little time where I wouldn't be on social media at all, not only just not doing my own posting, but also not interacting at all. So that one small improvement that I've made. But a lot of the classes I took made me realize, oh, you are actually doing what you need to do. So several of them have been almost more confidence building for me. So
I've definitely, because we met through virtual networking, so that's been a great thing. But I've known you for now, a month. I've definitely seen your confidence grow in a month, so I think that's great. So how important is it to have that support online?
Oh, it's totally invaluable. I mean, I've had some days where, you definitely I feel like I woke up on the wrong side of the bed and just really grumpy and just low energy. And then I hop on to a meeting and just, it's very strange to me that you can actually feel energy from human beings on your computer screen.
Yep.
That doesn't seem, it seems like that should be something that could only happen in person, but there are so many times where the screen pops open, I see all the smiling faces, and I'm instantly in a better place, and then can continue on with the rest of my day with a much improved attitude adjustment.
So what have you been doing so I didn't know that you were a trained life coach. So what have you been doing to try and keep yourself motivated now? Because again, you've had those bad days. I've had those bad days. What are you doing? Are you doing more self-care? Are you, what are you doing to keep yourself motivated and just keep going?
Well, I definitely have done more self-care because even though life is, a lot more at home and you can stuff a lot more into a day when everything's virtual. I still realized when I was doing my time blocking that other than, of course, I'm not going to skip lunch, but I realized, hey, I'm time blocking an entire day without putting in any kind of, shower, brush your teeth, go on a walk, take a nap, take an afternoon break, things like that I had started just, it wasn't even on my plan for myself. So I started putting some of that in. And then I have been working with a Pilates instructor who is in coaching programs before COVID. And then once things started opening up a little bit, she started doing individual sessions. And so I've been going there twice a week. So I actually get to leave the house and go have my Pilates time to keep working on that part of the self-care. Then on top of it, I was in a life coach training. I have one of my coaches is also, he's basically a holistic practitioner as well. So there's breath work, there's body work, and then there's the life coaching, and it pretty much encompasses everything, your emotional body, your spiritual body, your mental body, and your physical body, because they all affect each other. Mm-hmm. And so I had started the breath training in February. And so we had 5 more weekends, full weekends left of the training. And he figured out how to do all that on Zoom. So during all this, I also had that, which was some very intense personal work, as well as gaining experience in my life coaching. So that was also a really big piece of self-care that was vital. And I can't believe I didn't bring that up sooner.
How important is self-care right now? We've always heard that it's so important, but I think now that more people are home, mm-hmm. How important is self-care?
It's vital. I mean, it's so hard to understand that we can't do things well without being the best version of ourselves. And it's just so hard when there's so much going on, and it just feels like, where can I find more time? Well, I can quit taking care of myself. Mm-hmm. I can skip a shower today because there's a whole hour of getting ready. I can not walk because now that's another hour that I can gain. And I think a lot of people consider self-care to be things like, getting your nails done or, something. Those are all great examples of self-care, but, really digging in and working on your inside too is also vital. I mean, I can't even imagine what I would have been like in this situation before I had done all this work for myself. And I actually sometimes have to be mindful of other people because I do generally have a positive outlook on things. And so sometimes when I'm doing my social media posting, I have to make sure that I'm being mindful of how other people are feeling. One post I almost made, and I'm glad I did not. Here in Iowa, we had it was a big storm. It's called a derecho, and it's basically a tropical type storm that did a lot of terrible damage around the area, smashing cars, smashing houses. That's kind of the more extreme cases. Just really huge down trees, and it was a really big mess. And when it got really dark and the danger of the main part of the storm was gone, it was about lunchtime. And so I made us lunch and lit candles, and we had this romantic little lunch. And I took a picture of my husband and our sandwiches and was going to post this, who knew we would have, a romantic candlelight lunch today, and not realizing, because we didn't have that much damage in our yard. And so I'm really glad I didn't make that post because it's been really hard on people, that storm. And then we only lost power for less than 18 hours, whereas other people had several days that they had lost power. So.
Yeah. So what are you doing now that you can still see yourself doing if this ever goes away, do you think you'll still do the virtual networking? And do you think you'll run your business the way you're running it now, or will things try and go back to normal?
Well, one thing about my business is I think people are going to start doing more virtual meetings
Mhm.
because of the convenience of it. I think we're going to have a time where maybe things go kind of back to normal-ish, and maybe we all get together a little bit more. But then I think we'll kind of settle in back to this hybrid lifestyle of having meetings on Zoom, because now everybody's comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Um, and but I pretty much think that I'll be continuing with my business very similarly to how it is now. I think there'll be some events that go back to being in person, and then some that are more Zoom oriented, especially the ones that are global. Let's get to connect with people that maybe aren't in my area.
Mhm.
But then I have actually made connections with people that are within an hour of me, that I wouldn't have met before, because they're not going to come to Des Moines at 8:15 for Friday coffee connection. That's just way too early to drive and come to something in person.
Yeah. So what's one thing or whatever, what did you learn about yourself during this time? Because I think we've all learned a little something about ourselves, but what did you learn about yourself?
The main thing that I learned was that I'm on the right track. I feel much, and I know we talked about confidence, but just confidence in what I'm doing, what I'm working toward, confidence in my work, and being able to embrace who I am
That's
too.
so important.
Yes. So, I always have spent a lot of time comparing myself to other people and
Me
trying to
too.
be other people and look how they look.
Mhm.
And finally just embracing who I am and how my work turns out. And I'm even looking at myself on the screen. I had done this background. Film City has that beautiful browns and pink
Mhm.
colors and just that creamy, soothing look. And I tried to do this. And it ended up being this bright color and goes great with my
I
stripes. And
think
that's
it
how
fits
my
with
branding
you.
looks.
Yeah,
Yes, it does.
it suits you
And
for sure.
so that's kind of one small little example of every time I try to do something different, I end up with bright and
Well, it suits you, that's for sure. Like I said, I've only known you a month, but I could tell you're fun and you like to laugh and joke around. So I think that's great.
yeah.
So, I don't know, where do you see this going? Do you see now, how are the numbers in where you live? Are they low? Are they high? What's it like where you live now?
We're actually a hot spot.
Okay.
Um, I actually haven't checked the actual numbers yet, but yes, we are a major concern.
Okay.
Um, and I'm not terribly proud of how we've been um, doing with our numbers. So, but for instance, last night I had a mini session for headshots, and I had a decent turnout, but there definitely was a lot of people going back to being very cautious again, because our numbers are rising.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of it has to do with, we have a lot of rural areas that had 0 cases through all the major parts. And now people are getting out and about and they feel like they don't necessarily need masks. And
Mm.
suddenly there's been outbreaks in the more rural areas. And everybody knows somebody from Des Moines. Like all of us have relatives that are out in the rural areas. And so we, feel like we're comfortable to get to see each other, see family, and finally get some hugs in. And I think, and we're kind of paying for that now.
That's too bad. So are things closed and, you know,
The bars are closed again.
okay.
So they closed the bars down, and we're kind of waiting to see now if we need to close more again. So
Now, what about
yeah,
schools? How's that handling that area?
schools are they're doing like every other day
Okay.
virtual and every other day going to class. So trying to keep the kids in one family going to school the same day. And then that way they have the classrooms all social distanced, and that gives the parents some good, really good solid work days too when the kids are at school.
Unless you have full remote like me.
Yes, right.
You get the interruption. Mommy, I need help.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. Well, I think you're handling it well for sure. It sounds like it's been, not a good thing, but you've definitely it's definitely helped your business, and I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
What's one thing you can take away during this time?
I would say it is really amazing what practicing positive thinking can do.
Hmm.
Um,
How do we do that again?
I know, I know. And I know I just said something that's totally easier said than done. Kind of one of those cheesy things, but um, there are still, and maybe not necessarily COVID related, things that I have to deal with in my personal life, that I have dark days with, and some of those days just feels like it's, this is not going to end this time. This time I'm going to stay like this and be really negative and dramatic. And I like to make fun of myself when I'm feeling good. But it really does take practice. So now those dark days, maybe it's one day instead of weeks. Or sometimes it's even just a few hours. And it just really takes not only practice, but also then setting up those things that help dig you out of those days. So going to the online networking groups, going to, we do have family that we do go visit so that we can have some human interaction besides just us. And just setting up that network of support, whether it's friends. I have a lot of friends from all of my coaching training that I've done that we all check in with each other once in a while if we haven't heard from each other. And just having that support system and network in place is another part of that.
Have you found that it's brought you closer to people
Yes.
and more appreciative?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've always been the type of person that, sometimes I'll say something in a group, and everyone will say, "Thank you for being so vulnerable." And I'm thinking, oh, I'm not sure why that would be vulnerable. So I guess I've always been rather open with things. And now everybody's like that. And so that it just seems like this situation is just, taking that barrier away that most people just kind of have that wall up. And it's just created some, really beautiful things and connections with people.
Do you feel now that, I don't know if your husband's back to work or not, but when he was home, do you feel that now that's brought you closer and you have him as a great support system? Because unfortunately, not everybody has that support system. Either they're single or their spouse just doesn't care. Do you feel that this has brought you closer to your husband?
Yes. And he is working from home indefinitely.
Okay.
So he is still home. And, we previously had problems with our marriage. And again, like I said, before, we had a lot of we had some trauma or in our life, tragedy. That's the word I'm looking for in our life, that really just wasn't a happy time. So
I'm sorry.
we've already had been over that hump of working marriage and becoming best friends again. So it's oddly enough timing so that then when I've been home, I'm home with my best friend now. But
No,
trust
that's
me,
sweet.
there was a time where I never would have believed I would say he was my best friend again.
Yeah.
So that was something that we worked on and already had in place before COVID. So
That's
I
awesome.
enjoy having him home, and it's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mhm.
That makes me feel happy. Because like I said, my husband and I have been together 18 years and married 15. And yes, we've definitely had our ups and downs before COVID. You know, a lot of talking and getting things back on track throughout these 18 years. They always say you do it for the kids, but if you're not happy, you can't just stay for the kids. But luckily, we were able to, fix things. And, now again, he is my best friend too. It definitely brought us closer. And now every night we talk, almost every night now before we go to bed. We check in with each other. We see how our day was. He'll ask me about, what I did with Mikey or whatever. Um, do you find yourself talking more and checking in more with him now?
Yes, I definitely see us both putting down our devices.
Mm,
Like I've always said, I don't want to judge us for having our quiet time together on our devices or watching TV.
mhm.
I don't like that we have that judgment but when one person starts talking, the other one puts their device down and we make sure that we're paying full attention.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is so important because we lost that communication. He's probably going to kill me for saying all this stuff, but we did. We lost that communication, and we just would go to bed, kiss each other, and then be done.
Mm-hmm.
It was always about Mikey, 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 and I love my son to death. But when you lose that connection with that spouse, then what do you have? So I think this definitely made us closer and made us talk more, and find out who we are together again as a couple. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's really important if you lose that. What have you done for like date nights or trying to have fun, or what have you been doing to, I saw people doing puzzles and whatever. What are you doing to pass the time and have fun and maybe date nights?
Well, we've had a few times where we'll do board games
Okay.
instead of watching TV at night. And we make sure if we've made something really good for dinner, um, then we'll make sure to light candles on the table and kind of shut the big glaring kitchen
Oh,
lights off that's right next to our dining room and shut those off and just have it be softer and more romantic.
yeah.
Then he likes to barbecue too, so then when he's out there with the smoker running, we'll set our chairs up um, out there while he's watching things and have an alcoholic beverage and just sit in the yard and enjoy being
Those
with.
are important.
Yes, right. I'm proud of us. I thought we would do a lot more drinking, but it's pretty much the same as what we did before.
Yeah. I did a
Uh,
lot of virtual wines when this first started. I will say that, but they have slowed down.
yeah, I did a few of those, and I actually had a group of friends that once things started getting a little bit less restrictive, we started meeting um, in a park
Mm.
and didn't have alcoholic beverages in our classes, or not necessarily. That's not really legal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but got together for happy hour in a park and sat there all spread around, and we thought we'd have to be yelling at each other to be that far apart, but it was actually fine.
Well, that's good. Well, it sounds like you're doing well. And if it wasn't for our virtual networking, we wouldn't have met. So I'm glad that you are now a part, a friend, and we're getting to know each other. Like I said, I didn't know you were a trained life coach. So I learned that today about you. Um, if you guys have any questions, make sure, or comments for Julia or myself, make sure to comment below the Facebook Live. Is there anything you want to add before we go?
No, just a reminder to everybody to make sure to, if you don't have that support network in place, just start working on that. It's kind of one of those things, if you just start kind of watching for that, then it starts coming into place. It's not something that you can necessarily force.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have, a lot of people say you have to get rid of bad friends or family members that are, maybe not positive. It just means you need to add more
Good.
people to your world that are positive and uplifting.
Yeah, especially nowadays with everything going on between, COVID and the injustice and, wherever you may fall in that. And now the election is coming up and people are fighting about that. And I think we need more positivity in the world. And I think, like you said, finding those right people will definitely help.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, thank you for doing this. And it was good to get to know a little bit more about you and see what you're doing. So, my next interview is at 2 o'clock, and that is with Angela Lake. And we will see how COVID has affected her. And personally, I know that she had to pivot a lot in order to keep her business afloat. So, I hope you guys will learn a lot from Angela at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. So, I will talk to you guys soon. And thank you very much for doing this, Julia.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good
Bye,
day.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.